Cavalier Nation, it's Michael Cesario here to remind you of all the great uniforms and costumes we put together over the years. I've had a great time designing for the Corps, and it's special for me because it was the first Corps that I ever rooted for back in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Every year we'd start the year in Frostbite Falls, as they called it, and I'm exactly the same age as the Corps. So here we are rooting for 72, and I'm rooting to get through 72. So here we go with some fun facts about all the looks we put together over the years. One of the great things about designing for the Corps was I'm a professional costume designer doing theater, and I had done film and television and opera. And Brubaker came to me and said, we need a refresh. We need a new look that says Cavaliers, but it's absolutely, positively going to capture the brand. And at the time, they were wearing these Naga hide vests. And I want to tell you, a lot of Nagas gave up their lives for those vests. So it was time for us to do it. And so I brought him some drawings, and we came up with what became an iconic look. In fact, so iconic that anytime I wanted to change the littlest bit, it turned into a staggering fight at every level. Anytime there's anything new at the Cavaliers, there's always a discussion. And we really had to do a lot of work to convince Don Lauren that this new suit was the thing. And just because the genius of Brubaker wanted it, didn't mean it was going to happen. And we had Adolph and myself and Brubaker go to Don's house. We had Rick Slapinski and John Van Dorp, and one wore the existing suit and one wore the new suit. And Don said, well, yes, the new suit looks a lot taller, but that's just because you put the taller kid in it. And then we had them switch and come back out, and he realized that, in fact, the suit made the kid look taller. But I'm pleased that we were able to create what I consider to be the iconic look, the white collar and the big white wings and the white gauntlets, so that everything pointed up, what we call triangulation. It was all here. It was between the arcuate of the horn arc and the top, so everything went up, and the pants were not so important. Our first object was to make them look tall and thin, which we did by having these super short jackets. They're only 2 fingers under the lower rib, and fitting the black pants. So like a matador, the jacket is a little bit bigger than the pants, so the waist looks even smaller. And the longer the leg looks, the taller the guy looks. So we really tried to sell that. We had fabulous seamstresses. Dorothy was in charge of the whole shebang, and she made sure that they were impeccably turned out. And the big collar and the big wings, which we eventually shrunk down, but really made a huge statement. And we started with the guard in the same thing, and then by 85, the guard was in blacks, similar, but making a different statement so they could stand out a bit. And then we started moving from there. And several people were involved in changing the color guard look over the years. Eventually, I came back and started doing the guard again myself. But the Corps I've done always since 1984. So over time, we cheated the shape of the jacket and did all kinds of things to it. And then the guard started looking completely different. The idea was that they could wear something that was indicative of the theme without hurting the image of the Cavalier, which is always going to be very muscular, very masculine, tall, and super competent. You know, that was the idea. They had to come out in something that was equally strong, but could reflect the theme a little bit. We did have, here's one you'll remember. I don't know if you can see that. The one that I just showed you was 94. The guard wore something similar in 95, except that it was this rust color. And it really stood out against the green. That green, by the way, is a special green. If you go to the mill in South Carolina, it is called absolutely called, if you go there, it's labeled Cavalier Green. And the only other special dye lot like that is Blue Devil Blue. Both of those are, you can't do it without asking the Cavaliers if you can use their green. And we did that really just so that every band director had to talk to the Cavalier director and we could recruit guys. We didn't really care if they wore that color green or not. But it was designed specifically to stand out against AstroTurf and to look good on television. And we took different swatches until we found one that did both those things. We moved on from there eventually. The color guard kept changing all the way through. Here's one of my favorites. This is 2006, and it was Machine, and we did the Happy Robots. One of the things about the robots that was hard to do was everything had to be flexible. It was the color guard. And so if you look at it, it seems robotic, but every place you would put a robotic joint is exactly where we couldn't put anything. So you couldn't have a robotic knee or ankle or whatever because they had to use it. So it was pretty wild. Who can forget Samurai? This had a lot of textures. It was quite heavy. It really was kind of a costume drama. It did kind of look like a samurai presentation of some sort, but the core in this case was still in a dress green. So one of our refreshes for the core was to give a little bit more white, brighten it up, collar smaller. And Mike Gaines was doing the drill in those days, and he asked, could we have more contrast on the back of the suit? And I said, sure, we'll do a trick that I do, which is the back is black, so that when they turn around and go away, it's a darker moment. And when they turn back around, you get the green, you get the baldric, you get the silver mirror, you get the whole shebang. And so everybody thought that was a pretty good idea, till we saw the sample. And you would have thought that I had stepped on somebody's grave. It's the green machine, not the black machine. It's just the back of the suit. It was just because Mike wanted to change, but we eventually did it. You know, as I said, I didn't have a degree in dentistry till then, but after pulling those teeth, I deserved something. Now we get to 2016. This is when we start a new era. The idea was, how do we take the icon and make it speak to today's audiences and the other drum corps? We're not going to take a back seat. And so the idea was, how do we respond without losing our branding, without losing our identity? And what we did was we came up with what we call a Gemini, which is it's part structured uniform and part stretch. And the idea was that it was modular. Things could slip in and out of it. The pants might be the same for 3 years. And we invented this vest, which you will remember because we still wear it today, that had a big honking zipper down the front. And it could appear with a green satin blouse that was cut down with a white collar. So it could appear with a baldric, and that's still the kind of look we have for our dress greens right now. But it could be worn strictly as a vest or with other things underneath it, sweatshirts or whatever. You see the prints coming there, but here's our dress green look. I've had a good time with that, and that starts with Daniel being willing to take all kinds of risks. I have to give credit to Chris Hardowitz for backing the team 100%. And I know it's hard whenever there's a change, but I think we're now on the idea that we respond and we adapt without losing anything that would say Cavaliers. Now we're full in. There's green in the outfit, and the trick was to be able to say, I have to design a suit where when they're at the gate and you look at them, you have to know exactly who it is. You also have to create a suit that nobody else could wear. Nobody in DCI could wear it. Only the Cavaliers could wear it. So what I did was I adapted the shape of the Cavalier suit that long waist and the short jacket. So the silhouette is exactly the same. Small prints, you notice the stripes, all the vertical stripes on the pants, and the super high waist where you see the whole buckle and the belt. So it's very masculine look, but it is of the time. They should never look uncomfortable. They should never look like there's anything but they're the total masters. And that was the whole thing about the Cavaliers. When they come out on the field, it's got to be sit back, relax, we're in charge. and I keep trying to give us something that speaks of our time, but also has all those elements that are the Cavaliers. I got my checkbook out, and I hope you do too. This is one unprecedented, crazy year. But we got to keep the core going. As an honorary Cavalier, which, believe me, I treasure, it's time we make sure that young men from across the United States can take part in one of the greatest corps, the greatest corps to ever hit the field. To do that, we need you to donate. And I'm gonna, and I hope you will too. We're closing in on our goal. So dial us up. It's give.cavaliers.org. That's give.cavaliers.org. Cavaliers is spelled Cavaliers. That's give.cavaliers.org. See how generous you can be. It's tight all the way around, I know. But whatever you can do to keep this experience safe for the young man. Thanks.